Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. How's everybody doing today? It's good to see you. This is actually our second episode of the day. We did a surprise 2 p.m. Eastern, fantastic, what we call a pop-up show. That's right. I did a surprise pop-up show, and we were chatting with our viewers from literally all around the world, the United States, where we broadcast from. We're here in the New York area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area, along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. And we did, it was supposed to be an hour and turned out to be a 2-hour conversation with viewers posting and commenting. And it was just one of our levity fests here on JMS, the Jim Masters Show Live. A pleasure to have you here. We do broadcast from the United States. We reach a global audience. We have viewers who call themselves our levities, because I said light, love, and levity in the summertime last year, and out came the word levity, and you guys just jumped on it and said, all right, we are your Jim Masters Show Levity Squad. We're the levities. You're Mr. Levity. This is Levity Hall. I'll take it. I love it. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the great comments. We had a fun show earlier today when we did the pop-up show. Sometimes we do a surprise pop-up show where we just chat with our viewers and get connected with the viewers. And as you know, if you've been following this show, we've done about 435 live 7-day-a-week episodes since we launched this entertainment lifestyle talk show series, which sprinkles in sort of that old school way of doing variety talk shows. Dick Cavett, Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Dick Clark, with the modern vibe and modern twist of today. Watching for the first time, welcome. I'm your host, Jim Masters. I do this work professionally in the real world, in TV and radio, as a television radio personality, presenter, host, journalist, writer, actor, stage MC, voiceover artist. Love this work. And we turned on the lights, the TV lights. We created the Jim Masters Show Live, and it's been magic ever since. Thanks for all the great comments, all of the buzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Of course, our YouTube channel that you're watching right now is Jim Masters TV. We would love it if you subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss any of our amazing episodes with our guests who come in from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and then some from all walks of life from all around the world. In addition to that, of course, we do a lot of surprises. We go on location, so much more. So subscribe to the Jim Masters TV on YouTube. Thank you. And then click the notification bell so you never miss any of our content or episodes of our series and our surprise shows as well. Also, while you're there on YouTube, we would love it if you give this episode a thumbs up. I love it. We love it. YouTube loves it too, because then they take the episode and they blast it out to an even wider audience when they see the engagement. And a lot of you like to leave comments on the YouTube channel underneath the episodes, the videos. So feel free to do that as well. We welcome that. And many of you comment live, which I already see a bunch of comments already built up here. That is cool. We welcome everybody. And we've got our mug here today. The mug of choice is the one that seems to be quite popular the last couple of days. Kindness matters. And it sure does. Kindness and empathy and so much more. So we toast all of you and welcome to our wonderful showcase here, Jim Masters Show. We've got an amazing guest, and we're going to have him on in just 1 second. Hails originally from England, makes his home in Los Angeles, California, and he is a legend in the business. Laurence Juber is a solo performer and recording artist extraordinaire. We're going to talk about his incredible career. Of course, he was a lead guitarist with Paul McCartney in the band Wings, and lots more. We're very excited to have him here on the show. We're also excited to have all of you with us too. I think it's really great when we all come together and we get a chance to really celebrate so many amazing things like we do here on the show. So thanks so much for joining us, everybody. It's a real pleasure to have you here. And let's kick in with some of our commentary coming in from our lovely audience from around the world. Of course, we welcome you to the show and we say hello to all the lovelies who are watching around the world. As mentioned, our very special guest, Laurence Juber, is with us, waiting in the wings. He's going to play live for us too, which I think is really cool. We really appreciate that. It's an honor to have him here on the show. And let's check in with some of the cool lovelies that are here. And Toby says, I've spread the word of all LJ's Tea Timers. Thank you very much, Toby. We appreciate that. Good to see you on the show. Dawn is here, says, hi, Jim. Cheers, LJ and Jim. Toby, thank you very much. Good to have you here as well. And Barbara is here. LJ is a fabulous guitarist and kind-sharing person. Absolutely. Good to have you with us on the show, Barbara. And Jones says, thank you for an amazing 2-hour show in one day, or 2 shows in one day. That's right. This is our night edition of the show. We usually do it 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific live, especially in the summertime. That's what we're doing. And oh, I did say that, didn't I? I said Laurence is waiting in the wings. Wow. Usually I plan stuff like that out. That just slipped out too. He's waiting in the wings. Good catch, Stephen. I love that. We have a very astute audience. Or viewers, lovities, I should say. Good to see you, Stephen. Juanita watching in South Africa. Lovely shirt, Jim. Looking good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Alessandra welcomes Laurence from North Carolina, USA. John Montanez is here. Thank you for having Laurence Juber on the show. John Montanez from Pacific Grove, California. Welcome to the show, John. If you want to scroll back and binge watch our series, we have 435 episodes of this series we have done thus far and counting. It is absolutely amazing. Let's check in with some more of these great comments coming in here. We love this. We love this. We love this. Kathleen Walker says, hey, Jim. Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great day. And Kathleen is watching in New York City. Merlin in Ontario, Canada. Love the pop-up show we did earlier. Love that. Cool stuff. Good to see everybody here. Ann Wozniak is watching from Jacksonville, Florida. Hello, Jim and lovely family. You missed the pop-up show. You'll watch it in the archives and able to watch bits and pieces while you were getting your hair done at the salon. You were watching the show on the cell phone, right? That is a real lovely. Encino, California is here. Good to see you as well. And everybody that's tuning in, keep those comments coming. We love it. And again, we'll take a look. We'll scroll through some more of these. Toby gave Barbara the heads up, which is perfect. We love. And share this episode, the link to our YouTube channel, Jim Master TV. Subscribe, share, love, and spread that lovity. The world needs a lot more lovity, doesn't it? Mary Bishop in Florida says, hello, Jim and lovities. Merlin in Ontario, Canada. Good to see you, Mary. Good to see you, Merlin. Hello again, Jim and lovities. Hope everyone is doing well. Good to see you as well. And Alessandra, hello, everyone. So the tea timers are here. Okay, so we've got the tea timers mixing with the lovities. That is awesome when you get groups together like this. It is really, really cool. I love this. Maureen in Arizona says, hello, dear Jim and lovities, far and wide. I hope you've all had a wonderful Thursday. Time to unwind and enjoy a great conversation with Jim and his special guest, LJ. I'm excited. Are you? Yes, we are. Why don't we, without further ado, welcome him? Now, I told him all about the lovity situation, how lovity just happened to happen. And sometimes you run with things like that. And I think it's really, really cool. And he loves it. He said, bring it on. He's into the whole lovity thing. So I told him, you're going to be called to lovity. You're going to be welcomed. And Jane, who's watching in Sweden all the time she watches this, and it's already late night for her. Hello again, lovities and Jim. And thanks, Stephen. You shared about this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live on your Facebook page. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And Juanita is welcoming LJ, and big lovely hug, Laurence. I told him, look out. He's going to get a lot of it here on the show. And we are one, as music is a universal language. Spot on, Toby. I agree. Without further ado, why don't I welcome him to the show? He is absolutely amazing. As I mentioned, you've known of his music, you've known of his work. He's going to be playing some of his cover songs and original. Well, his actual original is here on the show just for us, which is going to be amazing. Just as a reminder, solo performer, recording artist, composer, arranger, playing fuses folk, jazz, blues, pop, and classical styles, creating a multifaceted performance that belies the use of only one instrument. Of course, first internationally recognized as lead guitarist in Paul McCartney's Wings, with whom he won a Grammy. And Laurence has since established himself as a world-renowned guitar virtuoso and entertainer. Known to his fans as LJ, he's recorded more than 24 albums, which spotlight his unique touch and tone on acoustic guitar. His latest release is the Fab Fourth. That is Laurence's fourth album in a continuing series of arrangements for solo guitar Beatles songs. The first of the series, LJ Plays The Beatles, was voted one of Acoustic Guitar Magazine's all-time top 10 albums. And his solo arrangement and performance of the Pink Panther theme earned him a second Grammy, while his arrangement of Stand By Me was heard nationally in a Diamonds Are Forever commercial. Laurence's DVD and audio project, as well, Guitar Noir, won a CES Demmy Award for Best Surround Sound Audio. And his photo memoir, Guitar with Wings, was published by Dalton Watson Fine Books. As a studio musician, he can be heard on recordings from artists as diverse as Harry Styles and Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks, Sealed, and the French chanteuse Sylvie Vartin. Plus, he's featured on the soundtracks to hundreds of TV shows such as Home Improvement and movies, including the Academy Award-winning Dirty Dancing, Good Will Hunting, and Pocahontas. That is just a short list. Let me bring him on here on the show. He is, as I said, waiting in the wings in Los Angeles in his studio. Laurence Juber, welcome to the show, my friend. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Jim. Happy to be here.
My pleasure. And I was just reading off the short abbreviated list of all of your credits and accomplishments. And it's a real honor to have you here. And how have you been? Fine, sir. You've been very busy during the craziness of the last year or so, huh?
I've been busy because for a long period, I was doing what I call Tea Time with LJ on Facebook Live.
The tea
time is my loyal following from doing that. And I actually started doing 5 days a week. And, I realized it was too much, so I kind of scaled it to 3 days a week, because I would do instant arrangements of tunes that, just because it might have been an artist or a composer's birthday or some kind of event happened, maybe a Beatle song hit number one, and I, do an arrangement of that, and doing deep dives into my own repertoire, because I've written over 150 tunes for acoustic guitar, and I've forgotten a lot of them. So, being kind of sequestered and having the opportunity to kind of get back into the core of what I've done, because over the last few decades, since Wings, I started off as a studio musician in London, and then after Wings, I established myself as a studio musician here in LA, and had a parallel career also as a solo fingerstyle player. So there's a lot of stuff that just all kind of was bubbling under the surface that doing these tea times gave me an opportunity to kind of just bring stuff back up again.
Yeah, it's great when you dig into those archives and you're like, oh yeah, I did that, and I worked on that, and I was a part of that. And and this time of reflection that we've all experienced has really given us time to pause and look back at some of the work we've done, and then look forward to some of the things that we want to do going forward. And have you been doing that too, looking at some of the things you want to do going forward too?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the first thing is that I'm doing a series of EPs, like 4-track EPs, as Bandcamp exclusives.
Oh, that's cool.
Which will be like starting, I think, October. It'll be a sequence of monthly releases, along with a concert on Bandcamp. And then in the new year, I'll release the whole thing widely as an album. But to begin with, it'll be just Bandcamp exclusive. So anybody that isn't following me on Bandcamp, and it doesn't cost anything to follow at all. And when I do a ticketed concert there, it's only like $5-10 or something, although people can give more, but recognizing the fact that what the internet provides us with is this incredible opportunity to reach people all over the world.
Yeah.
Really, the only impediment is time zones.
The time zones, right.
Which is why I do it. When I do tea times, it's like 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is, tea time in New York, basically.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. We've been lucky here on this series because we get so many folks, like Juanita's in South Africa and Jane is in Sweden, where it's already like Jane watches from Sweden. And sometimes it's she's still with us, where it's an hour before she has to go to work at the airport in Sweden. And she's still with us, is watching on her phone or whatever it may be. It really is an amazing thing. And like you say, we've been doing this. We've done about 435 episodes, 7 days a week live. It's quite an undertaking when you're doing it, right?
Well, it certainly is. But the reward is this tremendous sense of community.
Right.
That comes out of it. But so, in the giving back, I've gone through the archive, and I've got, certainly probably about 250 to 300 shows that I've recorded, and gone back through and picked out select examples, kind of handpicked.
So like the best of.
Kind of, yeah. But I've got a whole batch of new original compositions and also some arrangements that have been kind of worked in, but I think that's going to be a separate album.
Yeah.
So the next 2 albums are planned, and then over the last few years, I've been playing a lot more electric guitar. That was something that really kind of just ended up being part of my studio career. Right. And I didn't really play out very much on electric, but now I'm doing a lot more of it, which I'm happy to do.
Absolutely. We're happy you're doing it. The influences for you growing up, what were some of those musical influences that spurred on this thirst for wanting to be a performer and a musician, Laurence?
Well, the thirst was to be a guitar player and a musician, and a professional musician. Once I learned at age 13 that you could actually make a living doing that. And, when I started getting gigs with a local band leader, and I'd make more money doing that than I would babysitting or washing my neighbor's car.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, but it wasn't really, I didn't really seek the spotlight because I was kind of a shy teenager. But the musical influences, certainly to begin with, were the Shadows, who were, kind of the English version of the Ventures. They would have played surf music, but we didn't have any surf. And they were Cliff Richard's backing group. And of course, Cliff was kind of the English version of Elvis in a way. And that was really a primary influence. But then 1963, this kind of wave of Beatlemania took over in England. And that was the point where I realized that I had to play the guitar. And my dad wanted me to play the saxophone because he was a big band fan. Mm-hmm. And so I agreed, and I said, okay, I'll learn clarinet in high school. So I put my name at the bottom of the list. So they ran out of clarinets long before they got to me. And my 11th birthday was just after the Beatles did their big Royal Command performance at the London Palladium, the one where John makes the wisecrack about, the rest of you rattle your jewelry and stuff. Right. And I think that it kind of, at that point in time, the guitar became kind of okay. It wasn't just a hooligan instrument. It was,
right.
And so for my 11th birthday, I woke up and there was a guitar. Took a lot of nagging, but
yes, yeah.
But it was nothing extraordinary. It was a very basic guitar, and all the black stuff would come on the fingerboard, would come off on my fingers because it was just kind of painted on black, and had a bolt-on neck, and the action was like this, and you want an action kind of, especially when you're starting. So, but it had a floating fingerboard, like on an archtop guitar. And what I was able to do was get cardboard, and I shoved it underneath the fingerboard to bring the action up. I didn't know until just a few years ago that the bolt on the way that the neck was bolted on, you could actually adjust it with a key and change the action that way. And I had no idea. I only discovered that because I've done some fairly deep research on Martin guitars, and the C.F. Martin, before he came to America in 1833, worked for a maker in Vienna named Stauffer, who made a guitar with that kind of style of neck. And then that was when I learned, oh, you mean you can adjust it? I had no idea.
That is quite amazing, huh? When you think about it. And, you're talking about sort of doctoring up or playing with that guitar. I wonder if that was the early inclination to get into the fingerstyle.
For getting into fingerstyle was, I think that it was really what was known as the English folk baroque.
Right.
Or in England, folk baroque.
Right.
And that was Pentangle. It was John Renbourn and particularly also Bert Jansch. And they were fingerstyle players. And then the early Paul Simon records.
Yeah.
And Bob Dylan, because 1963 wasn't just Beatlemania. It was also, it was Blowing in the Wind. It was Times They Are Changing, and those kind of, fingerstyle patterns and that. But there was a tune called Angie. Which had this kind of, like hit the road jack kind of bass line, and then had this melody on top. And Paul Simon did it on one of the Simon and Garfunkel records. But Davy Graham was a British guitar player who wrote that. And he was very influential. But for me, not directly. It was more kind of second generations through Bert Jansch and John Renbourn. And then also Paul Simon, because I thought that.
So early on, as you're coming up the ranks, Laurence, what were some of those, those early opportunities for you, those door opening opportunities where people started to realize not only your passion for it, but your incredible talent? What were some of those early opportunities for you?
It was really just kind of dues paying stuff. I mean, because I grew up in London.
Right.
And while I was in high school, I studied classical guitar for a couple of reasons. One, because it was the closest thing that I could study to fingerstyle guitar, because it's basically the same technique. It's just, whether you use fingernails or not, steel strings or nylon string. And also because I wanted to study music, not just guitar, but actual, the substance of music. And I needed a certain grade level on an instrument in order to be able to do that. And the obvious thing was classical guitar. So I learned to play some Bach and that kind of, some of the Segovia studies and things like that. And I was actually, because my goal was to be a studio musician, I was going to leave London and study in Leeds. There was a Leeds School of Music, which was kind of like what Berkeley is in Boston.
Yes.
It was a way of getting into the studio world and really studying in that realm. But then when I got my, at that time we had A levels, was the kind of like the equivalent of graduating high school. And I got an A in music. And I realized at that moment that, if I was going to leave London, I'd spent all my teen years paying my dues, and to leave would have really set me back. And so I was a pioneer of what became known as the gap year, that I took a year off and I applied to London University. And
so you were the creator of that.
I guess I must
that gap year.
But I got accepted at London University. And at the same time, I also joined the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. Mm-hmm. Which was kind of like a farm team for the studio world. And it wasn't just Beatles and fingerstyle. I mean, as a teenager, I was listening to jazz guitar players and fusion players, and really anything that was a source of some new guitar lick or something that something fresh. But I was also, especially once I got to college, I was also very much into classical music, and was kind of obligated to go see an opera once in a while, which was I wasn't a huge fan of musical theater at that time. But then I started getting hired to go play Jesus Christ Superstar in the band, which was on stage. It wasn't in the pit. There was like an on-stage band, and I'd go substitute for one of the regular guitar players, and that was a challenge. But I was pretty good at sight reading. Although the first time I ever worked with a conductor was actually in Jesus Christ Superstar, and the first bar of music is in 7/4, and that was, for a nanosecond, that was really kind of like a cliffhanger. It was just kind of leaping into that.
Yeah.
I'm really fearless about stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. At that time in your life, Laurence, who were some of the folks that you were following, that you were admiring? Some of the other artists?
Well, very specifically from guitar point of view, I would go to Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club in Soho, and I get there at 9:30 on a weeknight, and get in for £2 with my student union card. And I'd be the first one there. I'd sit in the front row, and I'd watch Barney Kessel, Joe Pass. I think I saw Bill Evans there. I saw a lot of great jazz artists there, but mostly I was kind of focused on the guitar players. And I'd sit there with a half carafe of wine and a pack of Marlboros, and leave at 3:00 in the morning, and then go home and practice. So that was kind of very intense inspiration there. But really, anything that was musically inspiring to me, and because I was also studying a wide range of music, I could be listening to something medieval, I could be listening to Stock, just whatever. But then going out with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra and playing, big band charts. And then also, as a teenager, I was in bands.
Yeah.
I was in quite a few bands, and I wrote songs, but I don't remember any of them, because the real focus for me was, I want to be a studio musician. And I accomplished that. But it was an interesting turn of events, because I did a BBC TV show with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, and the next day I got a call from what in England we call a fixer, a contractor that would book musicians for that kind of work. And the house I lived in Limehouse, which was in the East End of London, I was in the base, like at the bottom floor. It wasn't exactly a basement. It was just kind of down the bottom. And the phone, which we had to wait a year and a half to get a phone installed, because they
really
have the wiring. This East End of London was really bombed out during the war.
I know,
and anybody that's watched Call the Midwife,
yes,
well, that's set in Poplar, and Limehouse is like the next town over from Poplar. So that was kind of the environment. But we had to wait a long time for a phone, and of course there were no cell phones then. So and there were no answering machines. So I'm down there. I hear the phone ring. I have to run up 4 flights of stairs to get to it, and I just managed to get to it in time. And there was this man, David Katz, who was a violin player, who was a contractor. And he said, "Darling," it turned out he called everybody darling.
Yeah.
Nothing weird about it. He said, "I saw you on telly, and I've got some sessions for you." And he gave me the dates. And I said, "David, I really appreciate this, but those are my final exams, those 2 days." So I had to turn him down. And I didn't think I'd hear from him again. But then a couple of weeks later, he called back. And then it just snowballed from there, because I could sight read, I could come up with parts, and I was professional, sober and in tune.
Wow.
which are really important. And then in the course of doing that, I played with a lot of different kinds of artists, and some of them I had no idea. I played with Alan Parsons on the first Alan Parsons Project album, Tales of Mystery and Imagination. I had no idea. For me, it was a session at Abbey Road on a Tuesday night, and in Studio 2 at Abbey Road, you didn't go up into the control room.
No.
You were down on the studio floor, and this was,
Yeah.
there was a string orchestra and harpsichord and mandolins, and I had no idea. And then 25 years later, I read it in a magazine that Alan Parsons started talking about, having me come in and play, and it's like, I did.
It was just a session, a gig. Yeah,
it was a gig, yeah. And they didn't put my name in the credits on the LP, but when the CD came out, I was on the credits. So, and that happened a fair amount. But then, the one that really stuck with me of that period was playing on the soundtrack of The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I actually, I got to change guitars to do.
Yeah, sure. I love that beautiful studio you got there. Tell us about this guitar you're showing us. That's a beauty.
Hang on, let me grab a pick and let me finish that story.
He just happens to have one in his pocket.
Getting to play the James Bond theme when Dr. No came out in 1963, so that twangy guitar sound was part of what inspired me. That was a very memorable experience.
Yeah. How did that happen? How did you get the opportunity to do that?
Same thing. I mean, that was the same contractor, David Katz, was booking not only the movie score, but also the album that went along with it. And one of the sessions, we did an instrumental version of Nobody Does It Better, with me playing electric guitar, Marvin Hamlish playing piano, and a string orchestra.
Yes.
And again, it was one of those things I read in Billboard magazine 30 years later, that it was actually nominated for an Academy Award. And I had no idea. And then on the same session, they played me like this track, and they said, just throw in some licks on this. And so I did. And then I also, many years later, found out it was actually like the whole ride-out section of the Carly Simon record.
It's amazing because so many of the session musicians, the studio musicians were used, they would be musicians for various popular artists and bands and groups, and then hired, like, as to go into the studios in London and elsewhere and interpret popular music of the day or the standards into those easy listening instrumentals you would hear on the radio for a lot of the orchestras, a lot of the Nick Ingmans and the John Foxes and the Frank Checksfields and Johnny Gregory and some of these others, Johnny Pearson. Quite amazing too. And it would just be a session, but it would be a version of a popular song done in an easy listening style.
And I did some of those sessions.
Did you do that?
Yeah, but I also would do stuff like the BBC was a great training ground. So, there would be in the Musicians Union in England had a what they called a needle drop rule, that they were only allowed to play a certain number of hours of records, and everything else had to be filled with stuff that was recorded in the BBC studios. So an artist would come into town with a new single. They go into the BBC studios with studio musicians and recreate that record for the DJs to play on the BBC.
Right.
So that was a great education there too. By the way, you were asking about this guitar, and I should mention
beautiful.
Beautiful. This is a 1929 Gibson L5. It's really kind of for this kind of style. But also it's kind of cool for fingerstyle stuff. So it's really quite a remarkable instrument. It's something I picked up recently. And
it's very nice. Yeah.
There weren't that many of them made, but in the late 20s, early 30s, this was really kind of what the Stratocaster, Fender Stratocaster and Les Paul became to the 50s and 60s. That this was in that era. But my primary guitar is the Martin, because this one's my signature model. So that's an arch top. This is a flat top. Can I play you a tune?
We would be honored and would love it, Laurence. What do you have in store for us?
Okay, this is a tune called Catch, one of mine. And it's, the title actually refers to a club that used to be in Manhattan, Catch a Rising Star. It's a comedy club.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to hang, when I first got to New York, right after Wings folded in 1981, I would hang out there because I was working on a project that was being managed by Rick Newman, who owned the club. And it was there that I met my wife, Hope, 40 years ago, actually nearly 41 years ago now.
That went by in a New York minute for sure.
That's right. So this is Catch.
All right. That is amazing. Oh my God. That is fantastic. And we're getting so many comments coming in from the audience. Jane, who's up late in Sweden, says, wow, I wish I could play like that.
It just takes practice.
It just takes practice. Merlin in Ontario, Canada says, you so enjoy playing. And that is really evident. Steven says, sounding great, Laurence. Barbara says it's Finger Buster Thursday. Go LJ. Toby says fasten your seatbelts, of course. And when we get a wowee from Juanita in South Africa, she loves it. And you got a wowee from her in South Africa.
Thank you, Juanita.
Bravo. And Alessandra says her 14-year-old in North Carolina loved it as well. That is cool. Jane says lovely sound. Alessandro wants to know, how many guitars do you have?
I don't know. I lost count. Around something like 50. I've actually been kind of culling the herd a little bit because there were just, some of them were taking up space. In fact, that L5 Gibson, I traded in like 3 guitars.
Did you?
To
get sort of like a down payment towards that one.
That's right. Yeah.
I could imagine. Well, you've got us on a roll here. Is there something else you want to share with us, my friend?
Well, I mean, once I got to America,
Yeah.
because the Wings experience was great. Just to.
How did that even happen? How did you end up, obviously with Paul McCartney with Wings, and everybody loves Wings, and the distinct sound of that band, absolutely amazing. And you, of course, lead guitarist. How did that collaboration happen, Laurence?
I was playing lead guitar on a TV show with David Essex, who was a big pop star in England, and Denny Lane, who was originally in the Moody Blues,
right,
and then was one of the founding members of Wings, was a guest on the show, and he did Go Now, which was the big Moody Blues hit that he sang, and I played the guitar solo on it, and he liked my playing. We kind of bonded, and Wings were looking for a guitar player, and I was not aware of it, but Denny had actually contacted the musical director for the show to find out if I was versatile, because my predecessor in Wings, who had not long before that left, was a great rock guitar player, but Paul wanted somebody that could cover more bases. And I got recommended to Paul by Denny. But it took about 6 months. And the amazing thing was I was doing a recording session at Abbey Road in Studio 2, which was the Beatles studio. And there was a phone call for me, which was very unusual. I would never get phone calls at the studio. And to take the call, I had to go up into the control room, go up the stairs. And if if you've seen pictures of Abbey Road, there's this staircase that goes up. And I'd never been up there before.
Stairway to heaven.
It was certainly stairway to the control room. And I walked in, and I'm in kind of the inner sanctum, and I take the phone call, and it was Paul's office, Denny wants to know if you can come and jam on Monday, and oh, by the way, Paul and Linda will be there, which kind of put me into a bit of a panic because I didn't really know any Wings tunes. So my record collection was John McLaughlin and Larry Carlton and jazz guitar players. And, I'd listen to pop music on the radio to hear what was current so that I was, up with the sounds that I was needing on the records I was playing on. But I borrowed some LPs from my brother. My brother Graham lent me some LPs over the weekend, but I realized there was just no way I was going to know what repertoire to learn. And as it turned out, when I showed up for the audition, we played some Chuck Berry tunes and some reggae grooves, and then I got offered the gig. I think I fit the suit more than anything else.
That'll do it. That'll do it every time.
So that experience, I refer to it as getting my master's degree from McCartney University, because it was and I learned a lot about not only making records, and the creative process, but also what Joni Mitchell refers to as the star-making machinery behind the popular song. And we did videos, we had photo sessions. I learned how to do interviews, and it was just it was very different. I'd been used to spending all day and often all night behind a music stand. And, go in on a pop session, and we'd do 3 songs in 3 hours. And then, Wings would spend a day or 2 or 3 on one song. It was a very different pace of working. So I got to observe. I learned about engineering. I learned about record production. And it was great from that perspective. And plus, I actually got to be on stage with Paul McCartney, which was pretty remarkable. And
First time you did that, what was that like? Were you pinching yourself?
Yeah, I was always pinching myself, because it was like, wow, that's Paul McCartney. And I'm playing guitar for him. It was pretty amazing. But then when Wings folded, and I moved to New York in early 81, and then I met Hope at Catch a Rising Star, and she was from LA. And I looked at the studio scene that I was getting into in New York, which was a lot of jingles. My first session in New York, I think, was for an American Express commercial. And then it was like Lincoln Mercury and Coca-Cola and stuff like that. And, I'd start getting like all these checks from the Musicians Union, which was very different from the way that things worked in England. So it was like, oh, I see this as a different kind of business.
You remember any of the jingles?
No.
That we would remember?
A lot of the sessions I work on, I don't remember what I played.
So many of them, right?
But when I got to LA and I managed to start getting into the studio scene, and a lot of the stuff I played on to begin with was television.
Yes.
You know, my first session in LA was for Joni Loves Chachi.
Oh yeah.
And then I played on the last season of Happy Days. And then as time went on, Roseanne, Home
We just had
Improvement.
Marion Ross on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
She's 92 and amazing.
Wow. But, you know, Home Improvement, every time you hear that was me playing guitar. You know, I didn't write that stuff. That was written by a man named Dan Folliot. But I did also, I mean, I got into composing. I discovered I could be a composer and an arranger. And so I was doing the studio work, I was composing. And then as time went on, I started to specialize in playing fingerstyle acoustic. And there was a TV show called Seventh Heaven.
Oh, sure,
That I played all the guitar on that. And that ran for 11 seasons.
It was on the CW network, I believe.
Yes,
right?
it was.
Yeah.
And it was same composer that did Home Improvement, Dan Folliot. And Dan's a guitar player. So he would write all this challenging acoustic guitar stuff for me. And the whole opening segment of the show, the cold open, would basically be underscored by all this fingerstyle guitar. It was like another character almost. So that was kind of a cool thing to do. You know, and when you get a show that lasts that long, too,
that's a good gig. Yeah, that's
and it's all union stuff. You know, it's all kind of pension fund type things. But parallel with that, I started putting out solo acoustic guitar records, and people liked them, and I just kept doing it. And then I started exploring altered tunings. You know, like right now, I'm in DADGAD tuning, DAD, GAD, which is, you know, not standard tuning at all. And I discovered that I had a knack for kind of arranging songs in that. And Hope had persuaded me to do an album of Beatles songs arranged for solo guitar, which then turned into 4 albums of Beatles songs and one of Wings, when Paul said, well, what about Wings?
What about Wings?
Yeah. Wow. So that became a thing. And then, you know, it's funny you showed your mug with the Kindness Matters, you know, because Harry Styles has a song, Treat People with Kindness, which our daughter Ilse wrote with Harry Styles, and I played guitar on.
Really?
It's been some time since I played on a #1 album, but that was a #1 record.
That's amazing.
And Ilse,
part of that, yeah.
Ilse has become a very very successful songwriter. She wrote Mercy for Shawn Mendes, and in fact, there's a record that just came out today that she's featured on a group called Big Red Machine, which is an offshoot of Bon Iver. It's like in that indie world, and she wrote and sings on that. And then she's worked with
Apple
Miley
doesn't
Cyrus.
fall from the tree.
Well, and Hope's a writer. She's a comedy writer, and she comes from a family of TV writers. And then she and I have also written for the stage together. We wrote Gilligan's Island, the musical, and a Very Brady musical, both of which were TV shows created by her dad, Sherwood Schwartz. So, you know, I found myself at this weird nexus of British invasion and then American sitcom. When I married Hope, it was just kind of a bit of an eye-opener to learn about
Did you say her father is Sherwood Schwartz?
Her father was Sherwood Schwartz.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It is a small world. And look who's with us. Gilligan.
Yeah.
This actually came from Bob Denver's wife, Dreama Denver.
Dreama.
Yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? She is. She's been on the show twice, and she sent this along. She said, Jim, you've got all these things on your set. You're missing, you've got the I Dream a Genie bottle, you've got George Burns, you got all these things. I got to send you the Gilligan. So she sent the Gilligan. What is it like now you're talking some of my language, being a television, working in television. That's cool. And, it's funny. We were just watching a binge weekend that the Decades channel had of Love American Style and Charles Fox.
Charlie Fox, sure.
Yeah.
I've worked with Charlie Fox. Yeah.
He amazing, huh? The amount of material. He wrote the Happy Days theme and Love American Style and just pounding out so much great material.
Killing Me Softly. He wrote
Killing Me
that.
Softly, that
Yeah.
song as well. And so when you get a chance to be involved in these types of series too, that people just really have a real affinity for, that's kind of cool too, isn't it? These TV series and more.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, because they're so embedded in the culture.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I played on, I've always kind of treasured the opportunity to play with really like high level composers and artists, like for example, I played on the soundtrack of Good Will Hunting.
That's right.
So I got to work with Danny Elfman on a couple of movies actually. And then like working with Marvin Hamlish on The Spy Who Loved Me. And so there's these kind of areas of music that wouldn't necessarily be something that I would kind of jump into, but when you get hired because you have a particular skill set, and then to work with somebody of that caliber is always it's very inspiring. Especially if there's, if it's an orchestra session or something like that. I mean, that world is, I mean, you mentioned earlier about, studio musicians playing on, different kinds of arrangements. And, LA had the Wrecking Crew.
That's right.
And then, but London had its own version of that. And New York has its own version of it, because wherever you go, when whether it's Muscle Shoals or whether it's Nashville or whatever, there are groups of musicians who work together on a regular basis and have a sensibility, especially when it comes to making records. Just being able to sit down with an artist in the studio and come up with parts that create the record. It's really, it's very satisfying and interesting to watch artists at work, like Barry Manilow, for example. I did an album with him, and to watch him sitting at the piano and coming up with arranging ideas and then slamming the lid down and storming out and then coming back 5 minutes later with an entirely different arrangement is really quite fascinating, how that process works, the artistic process.
It really is. And when you're there and you're seeing it, and you're a part of it, it is really absolutely extraordinary. And I mean, the amount of material that you've had an affiliation with is extraordinary, and it touches people in such a long-lasting way and a deep way, because music, as we know, is very healing. Music is a universal language, and whether it's a jingle, a TV theme, a great pop hit or a standard, whatever it is, it has a way of reaching people and making it all relatable. And people have been turning to a lot of music and a lot of nostalgia and a lot of things during this crazy time that we've experienced over the last year or so. And, it's amazing the breadth and scope of your versatility too. Like you said, you were going through some of the archives during the pandemic, and even you probably just like, oh yeah, that's right, I was a part of that. And oh yeah, I was a part of that too. It's cool when you realize it all, huh?
It is. And I really think that, having this kind of nexus with comedy.
Yes.
That, being at Catch a Rising Star and watching comedians on stage, watching stand-up comedy, and it taught me a lot about the process of being on stage as a solo performer. And then taking some improv classes, and, really recognizing that acting improv and musical improv really are first cousins. That
they are.
It's the process of adding new information. And I really, I credit Hope with really giving me a perspective on this, because she used to have a comedy rock group called the Housewives back in the 80s and early 90s. And we wrote a lot of songs together, and I produced their records. And that really was what gave us the impetus to work together on a regular basis. And she produces my records because I can't be objective about what it is that I do. I'm doing it. And so I want somebody who understands me, and she does, and gives me that kind of different perspective, and put areas that I wouldn't necessarily go.
That's a cool thing when you have that, because right, exactly. It's like a another pair of ears and understanding that's hearing it and can maybe add some little nuances to it that might tweak it, and may tweak it in a way that brings it to another level, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's not just ears; it's heart too.
And the heart,
because it's,
yes, very
and
important.
it's the feeling of it. And I will do a take of something, and I'll think that it's, it's an outtake, and then Hope will say, no, that was it. And then I'll go back and listen and realize, that that kind of self-conscious self-editing process, you got to put it to one side when you're performing, because it's too easy to interfere with that creative flow. So having somebody that really understands creativity like that is so valuable.
Yeah, because if you're doing, I know what you mean as far as the editing, you can be so into it and so on it that you can almost edit it and edit it and edit it. We do that in video, of doing it in print.
Right.
Edit to the point where you've eliminated the heart, you've eliminated the soul, because you're trying to make it too perfect and too exact, and now it's not flowing and it's just too rigid, as opposed to maybe leaving some of that in there.
Yeah, it takes the creativity out. I've produced a number of albums for Al Stewart. Year of the Cat, Al Stewart. I didn't do Year of the Cat, but his later albums. And, he has this way of delivering a song that you don't want to auto-tune somebody like that. You don't want to tweak the pitch, because it takes all the personality and the feeling out of it. Right. So you have to really know when to kind of let the performance be. I mean, just listen to a Bob Dylan record,
Yeah, just let it go and let it be, and just let's let it be, right?
Let it be, yeah.
You want to share something else for the audience?
I'll play another tune.
Yeah.
How about that?
That sounds good.
This is a tune of mine called Cobalt Blue.
If that doesn't get you going, I don't know what does. Really
Toby had a comment ask about the whammy bar.
Did you see that?
Yeah, well, I do this. It's what I call the virtual whammy bar. It's literally kind of the hair on my arm modulating the top. It was actually something I developed when we were doing the Seventh Heaven show, because I wanted to be able to add a little bit of vibrato to what I was playing. And when you're close mic'd in the studio like that, you don't really want to have any kind of additional noise. So rather than shaking the guitar, I discovered that I could do that. It kind of became a thing.
That is really, really cool. Merlin's giving you claps from Canada, and Christine in North Carolina. LJ's brought so much talent to Lovely Hall tonight. Fantastic. Bunny Barnes, welcome. Everybody that's new, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live.
Bunny's a tea timer and a fine guitar player herself too.
Most excellent. She loves that. The whammy arm. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Smiling, tapping, clapping. Juanita in South Africa. Fantastic. Maureen in Arizona. Holy moly, that was awesome. Alessandra says, love it. Ann in Jacksonville, Florida says, awesome. And Toby says, I knew everyone would just get a kick out of that. Thanks, LJ. What I can't believe is he saw your comment as he was playing live. He's a multitasker. He says, oh, Jim, by the way, there's a comment in from Toby. I'm like, how the hell did he see that? He's playing. You got to keep your eyes on it.
Well,
all,
you know how it is when you're
I
doing
know
it. You have to watch the chat. And
Yes.
I don't catch everything. When I do my tea times, I can't catch everything, but I do. I try and be alert to stuff like that.
Barbara says, quite an exciting night. Thank you very much. Joan Sando, one of our lovely viewers, says, wow, you are so gifted. Kathleen in New York City, this is quite a treat. Thank you for sharing, LJ, your talent with us. And Dawn is saying, oh my God. John Montanez says, you are on fire, LJ.
I got a fire extinguisher here in the studio.
You never put out the fire. Is there another one did you wanted to share with us while you're there? You're all set up? Your golden mic and all? That's a beautiful mic you have.
Yeah, it's called an ear trumpet. Although I have a little Neumann mic that's on the guitar down here.
That's a beauty. They're loving your lava lamp, too, to the right of you, they said.
Actually, one of those lava lamps was a gift from Toby, because she's kind of like the premier tea timer. So.
Super. We got the tea timers and the lovelies joining forces here on the Jim Masters Show live, and we love it.
Now, we're kind of like discouraged from doing cover tunes.
The YouTube thing. Yeah. I know.
Well, tell you what, let's see. I'll play a blues because that way there's no copyright on it.
Very good, very good. That is amazing.
Thank you.
You are just amazing, Laurence. You really are,
Thanks.
Absolutely super talented. You know, it's really amazing. Some of the viewers have noticed it, but I've been noticing it too. Just you're transported to another time and place when you're playing. Just there's something that comes over your face that's so like pleasant and happy and content, and you are in your Zen zone, aren't you?
I'm in my happy place. Yeah,
you're in your happy place. You're in Lovety Hall is what you're in. and that's really cool. I mean, when you look at all of this the epic career, and I know you've been doing what you've loved, and it seems effortless, but none of this comes easy. There's, as we say all the time in all these industries that we're in, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of emotion, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of flights and bus trips and train trips and everything else. When you look at it all, what are some of those blessings and joys in your life that continue to inspire you to inspire us with your talent and the music and everything else that comes with it?
Well, I think that, I mean, directly when it comes to the guitar, because I'm a lifelong student of the instrument, and because I have some training as a musicologist, I just find myself getting deep into particular eras or particular players that, you know, people that you've maybe never heard of because they never quite made it into the history books. But so there's always some source of guitaristic inspiration. But I think that, you know, having a creative family, I mean, our eldest daughter, Nico, just recently quit her corporate job and is now writing a musical. In fact, as we speak, she's doing a workshop of it. And then Ilse having this tremendous success as a songwriter. And then Hope with her constant flow of creativity. It's just, for me, it's living in that kind of creative environment and working with artists and musicians who bring their own creative energy. It's always a source of inspiration. And I love being able to walk into a recording session and playing on something that I've never heard before, and maybe don't even have music for, but just finding a path, a musical path through that. And it's not just notes, it's also it's the tone, it's and it's the touch, and it's the groove, it's the feel, it's all the things that go into it. And I like to, I kind of a bit of a sponge. I soak the stuff up, and then, you know, and in the right context, it just all comes out.
Yeah, beautifully said. You're working on lots of different things too, right? Lots of projects. Tell us about some of the cool things you're working on now, Laurence.
You know, over the last year or so, I've done a number of album sessions that, you know, stuff that's just on the verge of coming out. One that was kind of a cool thing was I did a track with Ilse, and my daughter Ilse. There's an album called Ladies Sing Lightfoot, which is all interpretations of Gordon Lightfoot songs. And I did one with Ilse, and it's very rarely do Ilse and I work together. And that was kind of a cool thing that's just coming out, I think, October 1st. Our Brady Bunch musical we've got some business going on that we're really hopeful when kind of live theater opens up. That we did a Zoom workshop of it last year, which went really well. And after that, kind of rewrote the first 2 minutes of the show. Because, you know, every time you put a show on its feet, you then, you know, figure out what you need to change.
Right.
And so that's kind of an exciting project. But for me, I think more than anything else, the fact that I play more guitar now. For myself, I've been playing a lot more guitar than I had been, because with no traveling, the day then becomes kind of pick up a guitar and play, as opposed to get to the airport, maybe snatch 10 minutes sitting at the gate, with the guitar, and then flying to the East Coast or wherever it is, and then driving. And it's, that the travel, I don't miss the travel. I miss the live audiences, but I don't miss the travel. But this weekend I'm driving up to Mammoth for, playing with a friend of mine, Richard T. Bear has an album that just came out recently that I co-wrote with him. And he and I go back to New York. 1979 was when we met. And I'm playing electric guitar at this festival, but I'm also with him, but I'm also doing a solo acoustic set, and then putting together an electric set to do at Abbey Road on the River, where I'm going to do more singing. I don't typically sing. I mean, mostly I play guitar. But
do you enjoy it when you do it?
And the audience seem to enjoy it. But, it's another level of responsibility. And I did make a decision many years ago that I was not going to divide my attention between guitar and vocals. That I just felt that it was more important to me to become the best guitarist.
Yeah.
Could be. I'm never going to be a great singer, but I can put a tune across.
So,
and now with iPads, I don't have to memorize the word.
Right. You have everything right there in front of you.
Yeah.
What are, you've done so much, Laurence. What are some things that, if there even is a bucket list of sorts for you, are there things that you still would love to be a part of, people you would love to collaborate with, other artists, whether they're musicians, vocalists, whatever it may be?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have that wish list?
Well, I surprised a lot of people recently when I said that I'd love to work with Dolly Parton.
Oh,
but she's just so talented.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on her, and it was like, there's just, real talent.
Yeah.
And I would love to, play on a movie score, John Williams movie score. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's things like that.
He wrote the NBC nightly news theme and all these other themes, and you wrote music, I believe, for an NBC documentary, didn't you?
I did. Was it NBC? It was Dateline, I think.
Yeah, NBC, right?
Yeah, it was called Children of the Harvest, and it was it was about migrant farm workers, and stuff like that is really cool. Scoring a movie, documentary, whatever, and just having to come up with some appropriate musical stuff. And I've done video games too. There's
Did you? Oh, no, there you go.
Diablo 3. I did Diablo 3 for Blizzard Entertainment.
What was that like?
Interesting, because that's a collaborative environment, that you compose with other people. So I would write a complete piece of music, but somebody would add something to it, and there'd be sound effects added to it. And what's interesting about video games is that you're not doing a linear story. It's much more kind of ambient, setting the tone for the game and stuff like that. So a different kind of environment. But I've written stuff for theme parks too. In fact, if you ever go to Disney Sea in Tokyo and you eat at Magellan's restaurant, the music that they play is a suite I wrote for guitar and string quartet.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so the projects like that, and something like that, basically takes up a year of time.
Oh, yeah.
So they're big kind of industry level projects. Yeah. But I've always enjoyed the independence that comes with being a solo player, beyond the fact that I don't have to pay a band.
That helps.
But the flexibility that comes along with that. And because right from the beginning, I really enjoyed the self-sufficiency of the solo guitar players. That was always a big, a big factor. But being English, it wasn't kind of like the Chet Atkins, Merle Travis kind of Kentucky thumb-picking style that really motivated me. It was much more of that kind of English folk with the medieval Renaissance. I played lute. Renaissance lute when I was in college, just those kinds of things. It's just a different musical texture
You got into Christmas as well, right? Isn't there some Christmas music floating around as well?
Well, 25% of the entire music business is Christmas music.
Yes, it is.
And I played on many Christmas albums. I mean, Andy Williams, Air Supply, Tennessee Ernie Ford,
Andy
Lou
Williams,
Rawls.
Mr. Christmas.
Yeah, well, I played on his second Christmas album.
Which one? Do you remember which one it was?
The one that has "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve?"
Oh yeah, really.
And then it's funny because in the 70s in London and in Paris, I played on a bunch of albums for Charles Aznavour, who was great.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Great.
Legend.
Yeah. And recently we were in a clothing store and there's this music playing. And I thought, boy, that sounds familiar. And went up to the reception, the desk and said, what is this? Oh, this is the Charles Aznavour station on Pandora. And it's like, oh, I played on that record. But yeah, it's really been, as a studio player, it's been remarkable. But I really just found that I found my voice on the solo guitar.
Yeah.
But, which doesn't preclude any of the other stuff.
No, right.
Because
exactly.
I still have a voice on electric guitar too. I mean, it's just I do more of it on acoustic.
What would you say to somebody who's watching live right now, Laurence, or they watch us later in the archives on our YouTube channel, and they are very inspired by what they're hearing and they would like to do what you do, and they're just starting out, and maybe they had a touch of the clarinet as well, or whatever it is, and they're being inspired by this conversation and saying, wow, I wonder if I could ever do anything like that. I'm sure do you ever have opportunities to mentor and teach others along the way?
I do. I've done workshops. I've done master classes. I've done multiple instructional videos for various different companies. And I enjoy teaching. I enjoy it because I learn a lot from teaching, and I do some private, I teach some private lessons, but it's a part of what I do. I do clinics. I've worked over the last couple of decades. I've worked with Martin guitars quite extensively, and I have a presentation I do called Guitar Mania to Beatlemania, which is really a history of the guitar, and it kind of ends up focusing on aspects of the influences on the Beatles music. I mean, the fact that Blackbird, the accompaniment to Blackbird, was inspired by a piece by Bach, for example, which Paul and George learned from a Chet Atkins record. So you get kind of Bach to Chet Atkins to Beatles, and following those musicological, guitarological links is it's fascinating, and I've done that kind of thing at colleges and in museums and stuff. And I have some vintage instruments that I have an 1893 Martin Parlor guitar that is just an amazing instrument, and that kind of takes the repertoire into a different area. But for people that want to do this kind of thing, I mean, there's a lot of instructional stuff out there. I'm not that great at dealing with the kind of the beginner, kind of medium beginner. I'm better with the more advanced players, mostly because I have just so much information that it's hard for me to contain it. I get a little carried away, I think.
A little passionate.
I think so, yeah. But not just guitaristically, but also because I classify myself as a musician who plays the guitar. Primarily a guitarist. I channel my musicianship through the guitar.
Alessandra actually has a question here. She has, what should a classical guitarist do who's 14 years old to become a professional musician?
Well, the tricky thing about being a classical guitar player is how limited the opportunities are.
Yeah.
To be a concert level classical guitar player, there's maybe 15 slots worldwide. I mean, it's just not that broad. But if you can play classical guitar and you understand the way that music is put together, then you can play anything.
Yeah.
Because classical technique is pretty demanding.
It is.
And I think it depends on the player's motivation, what kind of musical style they're into. And you can find your niche. I mean, it may be whether it's playing classical duets. There are 2 guitar or 4 guitar ensembles, like the LA Guitar Quartet, for example, where they've made a career out of being an ensemble. And the thing about the guitar is that it's portable, it's affordable, and it's capable of a complete musical statement. So it can end up in a lot of different kinds of roles. I've played with orchestras, I've played with jazz bands, I've played with rock bands, I've played with, metal bands. I mean, it's understanding style and then having the technique to play into that style. That's really, that's what it is. I was just putting this in standard tuning.
It's nice to just hear that.
So let me play another tune for you.
I would love it. You're gifting us with a lot of goodies tonight. We really appreciate it, Laurence.
And I'm going to put a little reverb on
Nice. And what is this one?
Let me think about that for a second. This is a tune of mine called PCH. Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah.
Not Publishers Clearinghouse.
Not giving away 100,000 tonight. That's really nice. That is
Thanks.
Absolutely beautiful. That's a great one. Oh boy.
Well, Hang on, let me turn that reverb off, otherwise I'll be.
That was perfect too. It added
okay.
in a lot of great people that are tuned in here that are really commenting. Bunny asks, what made you write something in B, or did it just sort of come out of your fingers?
No, it was a curious thing that I was doing a concert at the Royal Festival Hall in London.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the green room, and around the walls there are all these pictures of composers, conductors, singers. And, I'm sitting there just thinking about the fact that the guitar has always been a bit of the orphan stepchild of that world. That it wasn't really until Segovia's era that the classical guitar had enough gravitas to kind of live in that environment. And I was noodling, and I have this pattern that I use. And then you can move it up and down the neck. And I got to moving it up and down, and I got to this point, and I thought, well, that just doesn't sound good. And then I thought, wait a minute, if I do this, then it's the 5 chord in G sharp minor. And then I thought, well, okay, so G sharp minor is the relative minor of B major, but why would I do anything in B? Because B is just not a particularly friendly key. And then I realized, you have an open B string, you have an open E string, you have an open A string, which is the flat 7th. And I started just doing this pattern, and then it just kind of evolved from there. And I think what gave me the courage to do it in B major was the fact that I was kind of being challenged by all these faces on the wall around me, saying, that's just a hooligan instrument. It's not, not a real musical instrument. And then I thought, well, let me do something that kind of takes me at least mentally into a more musically evolved space. So that's kind of how the inspiration. But it was weird. A song about Pacific Coast Highway really kind of was born looking out at the River Thames in London. But that's the way it goes.
London born. That's what if we were to go to your stereo or your iPod or whatever it may be. I still have all the turntables, the cassette decks. I still have all the big speakers. I still love it.
I have I have a wall full of vinyl over here.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
I love music. I'm not necessarily a lover of music that's forced into my ears. I'd rather have it fill the house and play through the rooms and bounce off the walls, with the speakers. So if we were to come and spend the day with Laurence, what would be the music that is in your collection that you're listening to of late?
You'll be surprised, because a lot of what I do is really study. So I don't necessarily listen to music recreationally.
Right.
Last night I was listening to Richard T. Bear's album because I'm playing with him this weekend. Before that, I was listening to some of the Peter and Gordon tunes because I'm playing with Peter Asher at Abbey Road on the River. And I'll get sucked into the YouTube rabbit hole, where I'll find something and it'll show me there's a Jeff Beck thing or something, and I'll watch that. Or John Mayer. I'm particularly impressed with John Mayer. I did a concert. We were both on the bill of a concert a couple of years ago, and I was impressed with him as an acoustic player, but his electric playing is really remarkable, and he's a great fingerstyle player. So I'll look at stuff like that to see if I can steal any good ideas. I've forgotten a lot of stuff over the years, so it's nice to kind of, I can see where he got that from Jimi Hendrix, and let me turn that around into kind of what I do. Just stuff like that. It's a constant study. If it's just listening to music, Beatles.
Yeah.
It'll be Abbey Road or Sgt. Pepper or Revolver or Rubber Soul, most likely.
So, you're always finding ways to be inspired. It sounds like you're really an observer of life. You observe everything around you, and you're inspired by some of the things that you see and feel and hear. And some of that comes out through the music, observing life itself, huh?
Yeah. I mean, whatever the inspiration might be. And, I think that there was a time when I was writing a lot, composing a lot. And it's funny, if I have like a commercial composing gig, or if I'm doing a lot of studio work, I tend to write a lot more stuff myself because I'm just in that kind of mode. Mm-hmm. Depends on what else is going on. But currently I've been getting more into revisiting some ragtime style stuff because I'm a fan of that. It's one of the reasons that I love that L5, because it's kind of that 20s era stuff.
Yeah.
So but I am starting to worry a little bit that the dogs are going to start to burst if
you got dogs waiting in the wings too.
Yeah.
What are their names?
Ziggy and Kitten. Kitten is kind of a scruffy little terrier, and Ziggy is kind of a Chihuahua.
You haven't written any material for them yet?
No. Ziggy has a tune. Ziggy All Alone. When Big Dog Juno passed away, and Ziggy was, I wrote a little tune for him. So.
Well, I just want to let you know that there was somebody joining us who's sort of if you've seen previous episodes of our series, who's sort of my partner in crime here. And he just wants to say he's thoroughly enjoyed this evening, Laurence. You are amazing, and he sends you all his best. Mr. George Burns is in the house.
I did a record with George Burns.
See what I mean? Every time I pop this out, not only does it make everybody smile and lightens the load, but people will say, "Oh, let me tell you my George Burns story."
Yeah, no, I was like glad to be alive at 95. I think.
Was that?
But I never got to meet him. I mean, we would, he would do his vocals later, but you'd always knew he'd be there because he smoked these really cheap cigars.
There it is.
Yeah.
That is funny. See, God, you've played, been involved with them all. You are just a walking encyclopedia. Key is you're loving it. You love it.
Yeah,
it's
I do.
Passion. It's inside you. You're a conduit of the energy. And
okay, now I just see.
Amazing.
Oh, here come the dogs. Just came in. Actually.
Oh, the dogs are coming in.
Yeah,
that happens all the time on our show.
Yeah.
Who let
so
the
you
dogs
might see.
in?
Oh, there's Kitten. Hello, Kitten. Hello, Ziggy. Yeah, you see the tail wagging there.
That's cool. We've had people's dogs jump on their laps and everything else.
Jim Barry asked about, do I know the Youngbloods Get Together? I've actually recorded it with Jesse Colin Young. We did a version of Get Together for a movie called 1969. This was going back to like 1988. We did that. And then I've worked with Jesse 2 years ago. We played a concert at the Grammy Museum. And there's a group called The Tribe, which is like a musician collective here. And we did a version of Get Together with like a cast of thousands that I think you can find on YouTube, including Jesse. Jesse was involved in that too.
Cool stuff. Comments coming in here.
I see.
Yeah, that was. And also she mentioned, I think Jen asked about Dire Straits too.
Dire Straits, my kind of repertoire of cover tunes tends to be, well, of course, we're playing safe copyright here, so we're not, that's not. I mean, I love his guitar playing. Mark Knopfler's again a fingerstyle guitar player.
Yeah.
And love his playing. There's a lot of music. It's like Stevie Nicks' Landslide. Jim mentioned that, and not one that I would typically do. It's a great song, but I have my kind of my areas that I dive into, and during my Facebook tea times, did some things like instant arrangements. One that came up was Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Oh, really?
Because it was like Carole King's birthday or something, and I did Pleasant. Yeah,
that's cool to play. Just whip it up like that.
Yeah, and I did an arrangement. Which I have to learn now because it actually turned out really well, of Within You, Without You, George Harrison's, which of course is sitar, but I found a way to make it work on solo acoustic guitar.
That's cool.
So, I like those kind of challenges. And I did an album of Harold Arlen tunes where I did like, If I Only Had a Brain and Over the Rainbow and Get Happy and stuff like that. And, just I've done a lot of covers of great American songbook, but also, more contemporary stuff too. So, but my website is laurencejuber.com. I have a public Facebook page. I have a private one too, but I kind of ran out of room to add friends on that one. Yeah. But I do, and I'll do pop up like a Finger Buster Friday or a Moody Monday or something of my tea times on Facebook. But Bandcamp is kind of where that's got the merch angle going on too, as far as being able to download or stream.
To get the material itself. And you also said that there are some gigs and things that are coming up that you're going to be doing outdoor stuff eventually.
And that's on my calendar on my website, but there's not a lot. I mean, my next indoor gig is in the LA area in November. I've Santa Barbara, October. Yeah, I've got a solo show there. Hopefully, I mean, we may all be masked, but at least,
that sounds like a song title right there, doesn't it?
We may all be masked. Yeah, really.
We may all be masked.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. You're amazing. And I really appreciate all of the wit, the wisdom, sharing your talent, sharing this wonderful time with us, Laurence. You are a treasure in the music industry and to so many. And it was an honor. I'm so blessed to have had this opportunity to really converse with you. And I hope at some point, whether it's West Coast where you are, East Coast where I am, or in the middle, get a chance to meet and break bread. That would be an honor and a pleasure. And
that would be lovely. Well, when things settle down and, I go to New York and I play Iridium or the Cutting Room or one of those venues there. So
I do.
We'll get together then.
That would be awesome. And I do have a pressing question. Did you get a chance to see the renovated Brady Bunch house?
Oh yes. No, we've been in there. I took photos in there. In fact, they allowed us to do a promo for our musical on the staircase.
Yeah. I was there when they were, because I posted some stuff on the show, but I was there when they were renovating it. And one of my friends is with Lauren Rook. He's with HGTV.
Sure.
And they teamed up with the Brady kids and everybody.
Oh yeah, well, Hope was on the show too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This like degrees of separation. What an amazing job they did with that, huh? They took that house that was just really the facade that is like an American treasure in television, and totally gutted it and turned it into the actual what was on the Paramount lot.
It's really amazing.
Incredible stuff. Incredible. Yeah. Well, you're incredible, my friend. And just show you a couple of comments coming in here. Barbara says, Jim, you're a fine interviewer. Thank you very much.
I can vouch for that. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I've done a lot of interviews, so I do appreciate having somebody that really knows how to do it.
I appreciate that. My father has always said, my Irish father has always said, whenever anybody says anything nice, Jim, tell them to please put it in writing and address it management. Juanita says, Barbara, Jim is the best. Thank you. John says, thank you, LJ. Hope to see you soon. Take care. Hope as well. Yeah. And Kathleen in New York City, thanks for being here with us. And welcome to our lovely family. Toby says, superb. We love that as well. Thanks for all this great action. You guys are the best. Toby says, cheers, everyone. Hydrate as well.
Yes. Well, that's my motto. From tea time is I don't have my mug with me, but stay well, stay safe, stay hydrated.
Well, while you got that, why don't we do a cheers? There you go. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for being with us. You are absolutely the best, and you're a class act. And I truly hope the show met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Laurence.
Indeed. Very much so. Well, thank you, Jim.
As I always tell all the guests when they depart, now go stretch those legs and get the circulation going.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you bet.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Laurence. We'll chat again soon. Let's stay in touch, okay?
You bet, Jim. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Amazing. An amazing evening here on the show. And Bunny, good to have, I love that name, Bunny Barnes. I love that name. Bunny, we should have you pop on the show as well as a guest. You're an amazing musician yourself, and anybody here that's watching that is, you don't have to be a musician or an actor or a singer to be on our show. We have guests that come from all walks of life. And everybody that's watching for the first time, thanks for joining us. We loved having you with us. We're here every night. Tomorrow, I want to let you know we've got another amazing guest that's popping in the Jim Masters Show live. Lady Sandra, she's an extraordinary singer, originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and novelist as well. She's here on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Then live from Ireland at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. in Ireland, England, and Scotland. The incredible Irish folk and pop band Billowwood is going to be with us live. They're going to perform live as well. Saturday night, brilliant actress and producer Eve Austin is with us here on the Jim Masters Show live. Of course, the YouTube channel you're watching right now is Jim Masters TV. It's a channel that is really dedicated to entertaining, informing, educating, inspiring. Subscribe to it. We would absolutely love that. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. 7 days a week live, over 435 episodes we've done day in and day out with amazing conversation, inspiring conversation, great entertainment, light, love, levity, and our famous Lovity here on the show. Really an amazing guy. There's a brilliant photo. Credit Michael Lamont, who took that photo of Laurence. Here's another cool one as well. That credit goes to Jill Jarrett. There he is doing his thing. Really, really fantastic. And an amazing guest. He really, really is. We just love this. I have a video to play here too, and hopefully we'll be able to play it. And we're going to do it for you. This is Mosaic with Laurence. Don't go anywhere. More music coming up. Very nice, huh? Very smooth and rhythmic, and just a nice way to sail off into lovely la la land. Gang, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us. Even George Burns here says he loves all of you. Gilligan was here tonight, Gilligan's Island. Really cool talking about the whole Brady Bunch thing too, huh? Who didn't grow up on that? I had an opportunity to meet and chat with Florence Henderson too over the years. She was a delight too. Carol Brady. We were at a gala event once and they put us all together and I was chatting with her and she ended up sitting on my lap once and I was holding her up in this photo shoot thing. And I said, am I actually holding up Mrs. Brady? It was really cool. The things that happen in life. You just got to enjoy it all. Enjoy the ride. As we always say here, kindness does matter, gang. It really, really does. You're all a blessing. We started this show over a year plus ago, born out of my work in television and radio. And look what we've developed here. A beautiful community of people who come in all the time to join us from all around the world. I mean, our audience of Lovedies is really amazing. Thanks for these great comments. What a fantastic tune to take us out tonight. This was absolutely incredible show. Thank you so much, Jim. Sending a big Lovedy hug to you. Yeah, we do that big Lovedy hug that you like there, Maureen in Arizona. Absolutely wonderful. I love this. Thank you, Jane, up late in Sweden. We love you too. And thanks, Jim. Have a great night. Good night, all. Hugs from Kathleen Walker, our great friend in New York City. Allison says he's a great player. Yes, he is. And even more so, a great guy. You want me to have Joey Lawrence? Whoa. Didn't he do that on Blossom? Wasn't that? Yeah. Joey Lawrence would be great. Hey, make some calls. Get Joey Lawrence on the show. Absolutely. He mentioned, Lawrence mentioned Happy Days, and we did have an epic conversation with Mrs. C, Mrs. Cunningham, Marion Ross from Happy Days, who's, I think, just turned 92. And God bless her. She was an amazing person to have a conversation with. We had David Osmond on the show recently, too, of the Osmond family, son of Alan and nephew of Donnie and Marie. That was a very moving conversation because he opened up about his multiple sclerosis. Just really beautiful. He also hosts Wonderama. Billy Gilman, who you know from The Voice, was on the show recently. And oh boy, so many people. Joyce Bulifant, the brilliant actress, was on. Bunny says, wonderful interview, Jim. Thank you very much, Bunny. Toby says, great outro. Thank you very much. Steven says, that was a great interview. Thank you, Steven. I hope you'll watch regularly. This is just an example of what we do on the Jim Masters Show live. Conversational, freestyle, warm, inviting, levity. We have a good time together. It's all about being together. Wonderful tune, absolutely. From Jane in Sweden. Christine says, thanks, Jim and LJ for an entertaining conversation. Superb live music tonight. LJ has had so many fabulous opportunities in his music career. Yes, he has. A real treat in Lovedy Hall, a super Lovedy. I agree, Christine. And thanks for all you do, everything you do. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. Anne in Jacksonville, Florida, USA says, good night, everyone. Merlin next door up in Canada says, night all, you too. And Mary Bishop says, Lawrence was just wonderful. Good night, everyone. Have a great night. Mary in Florida. Love it. And Jane says, good night, all my lovely friends and sweet Jim. And of course, all the tea timers that were joining us. I love when these groups merge together. We have the JMS Lovedies merging with the Laurence Juber tea timers. That's what it's all about. Togetherness, right? Empathy, kindness, togetherness, having a good time. Life is precious. Life is short. And if anything about the last 16, 17 months has taught us, one of the things of the many teachable moments, life is precious, life is short. Stop, breathe from the diaphragm, love one another, take time for yourself, celebrate life, celebrate music, celebrate the arts, celebrate your breathing and your upright today. Thank you, Kathleen and Jane. And Juanita in South Africa, where it's late. She's one of our diehard Lovedies as well. Another great guest. Thank you, Jim. Good night, everyone. You as well. And everybody that's watching. And also, Oh, Carla, who's watching in Brazil in South America, one of our great lovelies. She goes, by the way, loved your mug and of course, love this show, Jim. Thanks and night to you as well, Carla in Brazil, who's with us all the time. Thank you very much. Barry was chatting with me earlier in the day on our Facebook page, Jim Masters TV. You can find me on Facebook at Jim Masters TV, Instagram at Jim Masters TV, Twitter at Jim Masters TV, and of course, our YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV. Barry was on the Facebook page, all excited about tonight's show. Great show, Jim. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for your participation, Barry, and I hope you'll watch again. As always, I know you've checked out our other episodes, and I appreciate that. You're very welcome, Bunny. And Barbara says, wheels up, peace out. John says, thank you, Jim. My pleasure. Claps from Toby. Thank you very much there in Encino, California, in the San Fernando Valley. Bunny Barnes says, thank you, Jim and LJ. And love to hope, of course. Was father Sherwood Schwartz? I didn't know that. Usually I know all these things. That is amazing. You know, a rock star, Sherwood, of great television for sure. Thank you for the great comments, Juanita. And Toby says, superb. Maureen says, that was loads of fun. Absolutely. That's what we aim for. So I guess we accomplished it tonight. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night to you as well. Music does bring people together. Yes, Anson Williams. He was on the show. Did you see the episode? If you scroll back, Anson Williams was on the Jim Masters show, and we had an amazing episode. He played Potsy, of course, on Happy Days, and so much more. We also had Stanley Livingston from My Three Sons. He was with us, and we had Nellie Olson, Allison Ardgrim from Little House on the Prairie with us. For those of you who love television, Kathy Garver from Family Affair, Sissy, she was with us too. Judy Norton was with us from the Waltons, and on and on and on. Scroll back in the archives at Jim Masters TV on YouTube, and you'll see some of the amazing conversations we've had with guests literally from all walks of life. And then today, earlier in the day, I did a surprise pop-up show, which I love to do every once in a while, surprise everybody. And we did 2 hours of just host and lovely viewer talk back. We were talking about everything. My God, we talked about food, and we talked about life and family and pets and music. And oh, it was really, really cool. And we love doing that. Gang, as we always say, don't forget to smile. Don't forget to share the lovity. Very important to do that. Find your Zen place. As you can see, Laurence, he said he's in his happy place when he's doing his thing. And I am too. My ultimate Zen place is with family and friends. I'm also a cyclist. I love tennis. I love music. I love, writing. I love to write, gardening, sports, and the ocean. You're looking at the Atlantic Ocean here on the East Coast in the Northeast. And I swim, surf, boogie board, sail it, and you got to drag me out of the ocean. I love it. Sunrise, sunset, the ocean. And we are just a couple blocks from the ocean here in the greater New York tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, southern New England coast between New York and Boston. What you're looking at there is the Atlantic Ocean on the Long Island, New York shoreline, the South Shore. Also love my work in television, radio, stage, and film over the years. On air, on camera, behind the scenes as well. And that's a Zen place for me. So find your Zen place and share it with the world. The world is waiting to hear your talent and see what you have to offer. We got lots of beautiful, we got smooches and hearts and everything coming from Kathleen I call her Kathy. Kathleen Walker and I were actually on the Rachel Ray show. We mentioned it earlier. Eve Austin. Yes. Eve Austin is going to be here, and we are excited. She's going to be here Saturday night. There she is. And there she is. It's Eve Austin and Stereo. She's going to be on Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And there she is right now. Love the ocean. Love your show. Thank you very much, Eve. Can't wait to converse with you and welcome you to our show this Saturday night. We are going to have an amazing time, as we always love to do here on the show. Good to see you, Eve, and thanks. We were going to wait to make you a lovety, Eve, once you were on the show as a guest, but now that you're a viewer and a guest, you're a double lovety. So, gang, there's Eve. She's with us. It's all about Eve on Saturday night. And can't wait. We'll be Zen together. Yes, we will. Yes, we will, Eve. And Sweden is checking in late night, and you're on vacation, right? So you don't have to go to work. Usually you watch this show, Jane, in Sweden, and you end up having to go to work like an hour after we wrap up our show, which is quite amazing because it's like 4 a.m. where you are. So again, we thank our very, very special guest, Laurence LJ Juber, an amazing, we mentioned Paul McCartney's Grammy-winning lead guitarist for Wings, but with his solo career, just an extraordinary performance. And to hear the breadth and scope of his background, jingles and television shows and films and just the scope of it is outstanding, isn't it? Really, really cool. He was an amazing guest in the class act. If you missed our surprise Lovely pop-up show earlier today, you can see it on our YouTube channel. It was a blast. It's available for you on the YouTube channel. We are going to wrap up here. Double Lovety is great. Yes, it is. And we're going to have that and looking forward to it, gang. One more time, tomorrow, Lady Sandra is going to be with us live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Lots of music. She's also, in addition to being a great singer and a beautiful person inside and out, she's a very spirited individual and a great novelist. She's here on the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series as well. So good stuff, gang. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the lovety, the participation. Bunny Barnes, I love that name. Bunny Barnes is off to practice. Live stream tomorrow. We will be here as well and hope you guys check us again. All right. So toasting all of you. Thanks for being with us on this episode. We've done about 2 hours, but these shows always go by so fast, gang, don't they? We always have a good time. We love you all. Continue to spread the word about the Jim Masters Show live. Tell everybody about our YouTube channel, about what we're doing here. We've done over 435 episodes of this entertainment lifestyle talk show series, and it truly has been and continues to be an amazing gift to us all. And as we always say when I remember to show this, don't forget to relax, breathe. It's been some pretty heady times lately, right? So stick with us. A lot of people have said we've helped them get through the pandemic. Well, we are here to inspire you all the time, pandemic or otherwise. And everybody's welcome to the party here at the Jim Masters Show Live. Doesn't matter whether you are tall or short, rich, or you don't have so much money in the bag, gender, religious views, political views, zip code, none of it matters. You guys are always welcome to join us on JMS. Relax, breathe from the diaphragm, and just enjoy life. It is short, it's precious, and boy, is it so good to have you guys with us here. One more comment coming in. Oh, yes. Double Lovety again. I love that. I love that. I love that. Good stuff. All right, gang. We love you all. Thanks for joining us on the Jim Masters Show Live. Check us out on our YouTube channel. Give it some lovety. And we will be back on the next episode tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Those of you watching live, thank you very much. Also, I want to make mention earlier in the scroll, Anne Harrison, she's amazing in Southern California. She did our super chat, and that is something new that happens during the live chat on YouTube. The super chat, the super emojis, the super stickers, all of that. And what happens is when you do that, your comment is highlighted in a very colorful, bold color, and then I personally thank you. So Anne in Southern California, thanks so much. You're the best. You're always here. You're a true troopity, lovety. And thanks very much for that very generous super chat comment that you made there. We love it, and we really appreciated it. I wish I could show it, but so many, the scroll doesn't go back that far now because there's been so many comments coming in. But no, Anne, I thank you, and we thank you here at the Jim Masters Show Live. Good stuff. Jane, yes. Hejda, am I saying it right? For see you later and goodbye, Hejda. And as Juanita in South Africa would say, mooi loop, which is walk well, walk well. So everybody walk well and enjoy. We're back tomorrow. We have long goodbyes here. We're not good goodbye people, so we don't say goodbye. We say see you later. Love you all. You guys take care, all right? We'll see you again soon on the Jim Master Show Live. Have a good night. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.